Here's an example where you are provided with a percent and you need to find the associated value of a whole number. There are multiple ways that you could solve this. Let me go over 2 ways. To begin with, you always are going to have to be able to identify a part, a whole, a percent when looking at a prompt. Let's begin with that. If I identify the part and I look at my scenario where I have 120 total students, 25% earned an A, and I want to know how many earned an A. That is the part that I'm looking for, and that is missing. I can associate that with an X. The whole in this case is the total number of students. So I'm going to associate that with my orange color, and I'm going to also indicate that right here, 120 students. Lastly, identifying my percent. My percent is located right here, and let me rewrite it right here so it's nice and neat and orderly. It's also worth noting that 25% is a value of 25 over 100. I am probably going to need that later. One way of visualizing this and solving the answer to this is perhaps a double line where I have percent bars. And down here I'm going to label my 0 to 100%. And up here I have 0 and my total is 120. So I'm going to label this as 120. Now if I look at my percent and I know that I'm going to establish 25%, I know that 25% goes into 104 times. So I break up this bar into segments of 4 and label them as 25, 50, 75, and the last value is 100. I can see that, yes, indeed, it does go in there 4 times. I'm also going to highlight this in pink so I know that that's the value that's already provided for me, and that's what I'm going to compare to. Now I'm going to look at the value of 120. If I divided my 100 into groups of 4, I'm going to need to do the same thing with 120, so they correspond. Now, if I look at 120, and I'm not totally sure how many times 4 goes into 120, I do know that 4 goes into 12 3 times, therefore 4 goes into 120 30 times. That means I'm now going to be counting by 30. So my first bar is 30, and I'm going to go ahead and count out the rest just to make sure I did it correctly. 60, 90, and 30 more gets me my value of 120. Let me highlight it this and connect that 30 is connected to 25. So visually, I can see that 25% of 120 is 30. Another way of solving this might be with a ratio bar. On this example, I'm going to label my part, my whole, and I'm looking for a value of X over a value of 120. I don't yet know what that is, so I've given myself some space to figure that out. Now the part that is provided for me is this part right here, where I had 25 over 100. And what I need to do is figure out how to scale this from 100 to 120 to know what the value of X is. And that from 100 to 120 is not that easy. So I can make it easier by breaking it down or simplifying 25 over 100. You may know that 25 goes into 100 4 times, which makes 25 1/4 of 100. And then from there, you can scale up to 120. But what if you didn't know that? Well, we can look at 25 and 100. I know that 5 goes into 25 5 times, and I may know that 5 goes into 10 2 times. That means that 5 goes into 100 20 times. So I can simplify this by saying that if I divide this by 5, or 1/5, and do the same thing right here, where I either multiply by 1/5 or divide by 5, I can get the value. 5 divided by 5 is 5, and then 100 divided by 5 is 20. If I'm able to make the jump from 20 to 120, awesome. But if I need to simplify one more time, I can do so. I know that 5 goes into 5 one time. I also happen to know that 5 goes into 20 4 times. So therefore, I can divide one more time by 5. And the value right here will be 1. And same thing down here, either multiplying it by 1/5 or dividing it by 5 gives me 4. And from here, just like before, 4 goes into 12 3 times, so 4 goes into 120 30 times. That means I'm going to scale this one by 30 as well. That means my value of x is going to be 30. That means that 30 of my students earned an A.